go beyond basic SharePoint and MS Teams and bring it all together into a digital workplace, leveraging SP Hub Suite for Teams from SP Marketplace. With SP Hub Suite, you'll see user adoption and your return on investment skyrocket. Many organizations struggle to transform the chaos of siloed departments, documents all over the place, many different business processes, too much email for communications such as news and announcements, and even just how employees get internal services seems to be all over the place in many organizations. And they see Office 365 and a digital workplace as an opportunity to move towards an employee hub or a digital workplace where employees can go from anywhere, any place, anytime, on any device to get what they need to do their job and to collaborate within teams that they're part of. Now, one of the challenges, though, is there are tools out there such as MS Teams and SharePoint and other Office 365 tools that are very powerful and allow you to do things in the cloud that you could never do before. The challenge really is not so much using those tools, but how to organize those tools in such a way that you can have a common way to do communications, to organize documents and resources, to deliver internal services and business processes that drive employee self-service, allowing empowered employees to do things themselves, and team collaboration for different groups, projects, and departments. Really going from the chaos of the traditional organization towards a employee-oriented, put everything at their fingertips approach. And so rather than a challenge, look at it as an opportunity to do this. Now, the key thing with a digital workplace is if we take a look at the vision of that digital workplace, it really encompasses two areas. An intranet, and that's not just a homepage. We're talking about a structure for the organization that empowers employees to be able to find things on their own, to get answers on their own, to access different services, as well as find information and documents out there. This is what we call employee self-service. And then the second part of it is, how do you empower teams with collaboration such that departments or projects or groups can have a way to share information and to communicate and news and activities and calendars in a way that is very easy for them to get what they need as a group. These are the two core components of an integrated digital workplace. However, we find that many organizations are challenged because the way Office 365 is delivered, it's really delivered in pieces and parts. You have a choice of SharePoint, which you, of course, can use for maybe an intranet homepage and some other content management. You can use it for storage. There's Teams, and Teams is very popular right now. A lot of people are deploying Teams and sometimes getting in trouble with it. There's Groups, there's Yammer, and a number of other services that are all available to you as part of Office 365. It makes for a very powerful platform, but not used correctly is not going to give the benefits that many organizations seek of creating that digital workplace. In fact, what we're seeing out there a lot of times is that the cloud workplace implemented ends up being a simple communications homepage with news and calendar or events out there that the organization can share. That's great. That's one small component. And it ends up being almost used like a bulletin board. And this is in SharePoint. Then what we see is a lot of organizations taking advantage of Teams. And Teams is great for team collaboration. However, people are creating teams for functional departments. People are creating teams for different projects or for different groups that are collaborating together. And before you know it, there's teams all over the place, and they are just disparate teams. And in fact, people are creating teams and then not maintaining the teams, and you end up with this same kind of chaos, except now it's in the cloud, as you had before. And so how do you avoid this? How can you actually get the most from the organizational resources that an intranet can provide, as well as pulling in and integrating this powerful Teams concept? And so the key thing here is you don't want to end up with really moving the chaos from on-premise and people's machines to the cloud. But that's what's happening if not implemented correctly. So one of the things that we've done, and we've had 7 years working with Office 365, we have created several generations of intranets, out-of-the-box intranets, as well as applications working on top of SharePoint and leveraging Office 365. What we're announcing now is SP Hub Suite for Teams. What we really do here is integrate SharePoint and MS Teams into a digital workplace. And the first side of it is still the organization services, the self-service intranet for Teams. And we're calling it self-service because it's more than just that news page. It's actually empowering the people in the organization to get at different things within the organization themselves without having to call somebody to ask where they are. It's organizing things like documents and business processes and services and news and communications in a consistent way across departments and across the organization. That's self-service intranet for Teams. And what's different about it is for those departments that may be portals that are part of that intranet, we are integrating them with the team sites that's the staff teams in those departments may be using. So now we're bringing those teams that is bringing collaboration for that staff group together with the service portals that make up the intranet in the SharePoint implementation of a intranet service structure. The second area that we have put time into is projects. And we see a lot of organizations implementing Teams for projects. And it's not unusual that there's 20, 50, 100 projects out there that are Teams sites out there. The problem with that, of course, is you get many standalone projects and there's no way to see across all the projects. So what we've done here in the same way is we have connected the projects sites to Teams. And in fact, most Teams is really a SharePoint group site with a communication layer layered upon it. That's what MS Teams really is. And so we're taking advantage of that by leveraging those group SharePoint sites and using those to pull together with an intranet and into a project overview or project hub. So let's take a deeper look at each of these. First of all, empower employees with self-service. Now, in the standard world, you'd have that communication site, and you'd probably have just a bunch of department teams out there. And you'd end up, with employees being able to get at news. They might be able to get at some shared documents or something like that. But typically, it's going to be, separated. What we've done is we've leveraged those SharePoint group sites that are part of these teams, and we've added into them a self-service capability, as well as added to that communication site and provisioned into it a number of e-discovery and self-service capabilities there. And by doing this, we've taken those SharePoint group sites and turned them into service department sites with a separate IT service portal, like a My IT, My HR, My Facilities Management. So an employee portal that on one side of that group site and is very specific with security rules. And the other side is a staff portal, which is enhancing that base group site that it's built on. And then we've connected it into the intranet using a hub and spoke capability, which then makes sure that you can roll up across those different sites, for instance, seeing service response times and so on of different service requests across the departments. Also, having it be the same look and feel and same kind of basic structure to provide consistency. So here now we've taken one part of the groups that are using Teams, and that would be department staff or functional staff, and merged that with the intranet capability that they are probably in the middle of, especially if they're service departments. And the nice thing about it is We're leveraging the base communication sites. We're adding a whole bunch of things to it. So if we take a look at our intranet page, it's actually built off of a communication site. We've added many web parts and capabilities to it to make it a full self-service beyond just a news site. And if we take a look at what we mean by that is, first of all, we enable what we call e-discovery. And that means that if I'm looking up an employee, there's an employee directory. I can link to and look up information and see even where on an org chart somebody fits. I can go look for a business process, such as a travel request or other things, in the destination called Process Central. This is a roll-up of different processes from different departments and functions. I also can look or search for documents such as policies, procedures, or other reference documents through something called Doc Central. Again, it's the destination point for the employees to look across all departments for documents that they need. And other things such as an online newsletter, office locations, frequently asked questions, knowledge base, are all added to that basic communications site to create a self-service intranet, all out of the box, ready to go. Secondly, if somebody does need to visit one of the departments and has a need to, for instance, get support from IT, from HR, or other, they can actually go through a common set of navigation and go to a self-service portal for that department. And for instance, here's my IT portal, and I can submit a IT ticket from here. I can look up my own answers and knowledge base, because that's one of the big mistakes is people say, oh, there's a help desk, we're all set. Well, in real self-service land, you don't want them to submit a ticket. You want them to be able to answer their own questions through a FAQ or knowledge base. They should be able to find whatever resource or documents they need very easily without submitting a case, and the case would be the last thing you want them to do. But the key thing here is a service portal that not only has the ability to get services, to answer questions, but also has department news, events. It's a communication point from that department out to its customers. And the nice thing about it is it's put in consistently so that the different departments have a consistent way that they are providing services to their customers, the employee. And this is something that is a best practice that's used in fast food, McDonald's. If you walk into McDonald's, doesn't matter where in the world it is, it's set up the same. Well, we're taking that same consistent best practice approach and applying it to departments. We find that drives adoption and increases the whole self-service capability. And for the staff of those departments, they can access this because this is built on a Teams group site. They can access the portal and their side of the portal, the IT staff side of it. For instance, for the IT team here, or for HR and so on, they can access it through Teams. And however, employees can't get to the Teams side of the portal here as well, because again, that's secure. And so the IT staff group can do the things they're going to do, work with things like computer assets or vendor contracts or whatever might be the things that they're tracking, and those will be secure from the employees that they're serving. So what we've done here is taken the best of Teams and the collaboration capabilities and brought those together with the self-service requirements of an intranet and integrated the two for service departments like IT, HR, and other departments that provide internal services. Now, the second biggest use of Teams in many cases, or maybe the first biggest use of Teams in many organizations, is to use them on projects, for project teams. And that totally makes sense because projects, by the very nature of what they're doing, need to collaborate. And it doesn't make any sense to send emails and send documents around. That just gets out of hand. So just like with the department sites, what we've done is we've leveraged the concept of the SharePoint group sites that are behind the teams. We have created a project tracker hub site, our management hub. Okay, so instead of an intranet, we've got a project. This is where project information is kept, such as project overview, health, status, milestones, those type of things. But we know that the team is going to be really working from Teams in those group sites. So what we've done is we've taken advantage of the hub and spoke concept and the ability to put in templates into spoke sites as part of being part of what's called a hub. And we actually can provision in task list and issues list and those type of things that the team sites can use. But as long as they do that, they can also be able to roll up those consistent tasks and issue lists and so on into the overall project's roll-up view in Project Tracker. So now what we've done is, again, taken advantage of teams and the fact that there are SharePoint group sites underneath every team, and we've leveraged that to track project activities, resources, and outstanding issues, and be able to actually roll up and provide a view across all project teams and what the status of the projects are. So this is called Project Hub. And if we take a look at this from the team's perspective, this is a project site. Again, it's a group site, but we've enhanced it with tasks and issues here as well. And so the team members can actually, again, use this to share information and to collaborate, but also the project manager can get to the project hub from the team site and see an overview of the project, update statuses, and so on. Leveraging issues and tasks and so on, the project manager can also see the details down in the site and leveraging things like Gantt charts for tasks there. So it takes that collaboration site that's built with teams beyond just chat and sharing some documents to actually managing a project from within teams. And at the Project Hub site for executives and other people that need visibility across projects, they can now see across the different projects and even see a Power BI dashboard across projects on where they stand, as well as the project manager and team members can take advantage of what's called a project manager workspace and team workspace that they can see across projects they're working on, and team members can see across tasks and issues across the projects they're working on too. So it's not just for visibility for executives, but it also brings together the ability for an individual to look across all the work they are doing. And finally, one added kind of benefit in what we're doing too is, as a company, we have always had business process applications actually built out in Office 365 and SharePoint. And you can actually apply these business applications, if you wish, into the group sites, either departments or other group sites. So if you need a support desk, you can apply that. We do have an HRMS system with everything from onboarding to tracking employees to policy management, facilities with work orders, asset tracking, maintenance, and so on, all the way down through a full CRM. This is not Dynamics. So the nice thing is, especially for small to medium companies, is if you do not have some of these processes already built out or you've bought systems, you can actually apply them and integrate them in with the teams as well. So overall, if we take a look at it, you could have in that IT, for instance, department, the ability to manage a full IT help desk right from within Teams as well. Let's just step back and see how we've done this. We've done this in such a way that it makes it very flexible to use these products. They're all out of the box ready and native no-code solutions. And so what that means is we've built them with lists, libraries, and so on, as you would in a SharePoint site, but we've built them completely out. Process flows, all notifications, security groups, and so on are all predefined, but they're also 100% customizable with no code by SharePoint power users. Okay, you don't have to be a SharePoint developer. You can have power users actually change these. And we've leveraged actually the Office 365 Power Platform with MS Flow, Power Apps, and Power BI, and also making use of, where possible, and if you need to connect, the connectors, which connect to over 450 applications at this time and is still growing. So what this does is it not only provides out-of-the-box solutions, but a platform that you can enhance and customize to your needs. And how we provision this. So a lot of people ask, well, is this, are you replacing Microsoft solutions, or what are you doing? Well, actually, we're overlaying them. And so if you've got a basic communication site in SharePoint, it is pretty basic. It's only a document library, and you've got a events list and a couple of site pages. It's very, very basic here with news. It's very nice and it's useful. But what we do is we actually provision right over that basic communication site. We add web parts. We add a number of libraries and lists. We actually add a bunch of site pages, things like Doc Central and Process Central and FAQ lists and knowledge base and so on, and also process flows, all pre-built out, and we actually provision them over that basic communication site to turn it into the self-service intranet. So it is possible, potentially, if you can write code and stuff like that, to do this yourself, but it would take you a long time. And we have done it just like you would if you were a very seasoned developer with lots of best practice experience in intranets. So we do that with the communication site. We do the same with the group sites and provision them to become service department portals. So overall, you can bring it all together with SharePoint and MS Teams to really create that digital workplace and optimize your ROI. You can learn more at spmarketplace.com. We have video demos, we have white papers and webinars, and we also can put on a live demonstration for you and your team online so you can see what these products can do and how they can take your Office 365, SharePoint, and Teams to the next level.